Hello there, my name is Kuninhal and I'm going to show you a short presentation on stakeholder management within the project management process. Let's go. What are we going to talk about today? Well, first we're going to ask the question, why stakeholder management? Then we're going to ask the question, what is a stakeholder? Then I'm going to show you the process of stakeholder classification. And then lastly, we're going to talk about stakeholder analysis. Why stakeholder management? Well, we know we are currently busy with the scope management process, but to develop the scope further, we really need more information in terms of the role players around the project, who's going to help us or support us, who has some sort of an influence on the project. And that's why we are doing stakeholder management. What is a stakeholder then? A stakeholder is an organization or a person within or without the organization which are involved with the project, which can influence the project, or which can be influenced by the project. And this is really very broad. The thing is that you have to know here is that you really need to go into an in-depth analysis to get your stakeholders, because there might be someone that you're not thinking of who are very, very important in the project management process. So how do you classify the stakeholders then? Well, first we need to list them. And as I said, this is a very intensive process, not to be taken lightly. You have to sit around the table, you really have to go through the thought processes and ask the questions to know who's involved in the project. Really, the key here is not to miss any stakeholders, not even to say the important stakeholders. Then you go a bit further and you differentiate between the internal stakeholders and the external stakeholders. Why do we want to do that? Well, the reason is because you manage differently the different type of stakeholders. An external stakeholder, you need to manage different and think and talk to him differently than you would with someone that's internal in your project management team. The next step is to go and to plot your stakeholders in the template that I'm going to show you in a moment. And then lastly, you need to determine the corresponding actions which could become part of the project inclusions and the part of the project management or the project management scope or the scope of works. Okay, so this is the template, and I'm going to quickly talk you through this template. As we can see, there's two axes. There's an axis for or against. This represents the feeling that the person or the stakeholder or organization has towards the project. Are you for the project or are you against the project in a scale? On this axis, we can see that it's persons or people, organizations, stakeholders who has an influence on the project over there. And over here, we've got people or stakeholders, organizations who are influenced by the project. So let's take an example. Let's say you are trying to approve a plan for some new development or a house. Will the council member, who's definitely a stakeholder, be for the project or against the project? Well, it'll be fairly neutral, so it's fairly close to the 0 point. Do they have an influence on the project or are they influenced by the project? Well, they definitely have a big impact on the project. If they don't approve that, the project can be gone. Okay, so that's how you plot your council member who help you with that then. Let's take another example. Let's say you are doing a road resurfacing project in an existing low-cost development housing area. Will that community, that's definitely stakeholders, will they be for the project or against the project? And will they be, do they have an influence on the project or are they influenced by the project? Well, they'll definitely be influenced by the project and they will definitely be against the project. If you think about all the construction that's going to be in their environment, there's going to be traffic, there's going to be dust, and they're definitely going to have a big impact on them. So that's how you plot them. What you do then is you go through your list and you plot each and every stakeholder that you have. And you might come up with something like this. And this is now a nice tool to look at your stakeholders and see what type of stakeholders am I and where do they fall into this template. Obviously, you'll see on this side you've got your hostiles, the people who's against the project but have a big influence on them. Over here you've got your blockers. They don't really necessarily have the influence on the project, but they can be negative towards that, and they can block your project if they've got the right connections with someone else. Over here, you've got your supporters. These are the guys and the stakeholders who's influenced by the project, but are not really negative towards the project. And then over here, you've got your allies, who's the people that's got a very big influence on the project and who is for the project. The key now here is to know what you do with each of this. Well, there will be some stakeholders that you can do nothing about, and that might be the only action that you might do with them is to talk to them and to tell them how important the project is and to keep them informed about the whole process. If there's any fence sitters, this is the guys over here, you'll use the supporters to lobby for you and to get the people more positive for the project. After that, what you do is you use a stakeholder engagement matrix to tell your team and to decide what is the potential actions then that I have to take to manage my stakeholders. And that really consists of a list of stakeholders that we got in the beginning. What are the interests in the project? What are the impact of the interest in the project? And then lastly, what is the potential actions that I will take to manage this stakeholder? And this now becomes part of your project management plan and integrated in the whole process. Okay, so I hope I shed a bit more light on stakeholders and the way you classify and put them on the graph. If there's any other questions, please drop me an email at kpmtraining@gmail.com or go visit our website for information. Thank you very much.